Breaking news. The world is on edge tonight as a sudden escalation in the ongoing tensions between the United States and Venezuela has sent shockwaves through the international community. In a development that few saw coming, the United Nations has been forced to convene an emergency session, a move reserved only for the gravest of global crises. The events that have unfolded over the past 24 hours have not only captured the attention of world leaders, but have also left millions of ordinary citizens anxiously awaiting answers. As the story continues to develop, we bring you the latest updates, analysis, and reactions from around the globe. Earlier today, a series of coordinated strikes targeted Venezuelan naval vessels operating in contested waters. Eyewitnesses reported seeing missiles streaking across the sky before explosions rocked the decks of several ships. The attack, which occurred in the early hours of the morning, has left the Venezuelan Navy reeling and has triggered a flurry of diplomatic activity. The precise details of the operation remain shrouded in mystery, but initial reports suggest that the strikes were both sudden and devastating, leaving multiple vessels damaged or destroyed. As news of the attack broke, media outlets across the world scrambled to cover the unfolding crisis. From newsrooms in New York and London to press agencies in Moscow and Beijing, journalists have been working around the clock to piece together the facts. The global map now centers on Venezuela, a nation that has long been at the crossroads of international politics, and the world is watching with bated breath to see what happens next. Images and video footage emerging from the scene show the aftermath of the strikes: twisted metal, plumes of smoke rising from the water, and rescue crews scrambling to assist survivors. The Venezuelan Navy, already stretched thin by years of economic hardship and political turmoil, now faces one of its greatest challenges in recent memory. The full extent of the damage is still being assessed, but early indications point to significant losses, both in terms of equipment and personnel. In the wake of the attack, diplomatic tensions have reached a fever pitch. The United States, long at odds with the Venezuelan government, has found itself thrust into the international spotlight. At a tense press conference held just hours after the incident, U.S. diplomats faced a barrage of questions from reporters demanding to know whether the United States was involved in the operation. The atmosphere was electric, with both American and Venezuelan flags displayed side by side, a stark reminder of the high stakes at play. Government officials from both countries have been quick to issue statements, each side accusing the other of provocation and aggression. Security experts have convened emergency meetings to assess the risks of further escalation, while maritime authorities are working to secure the region and prevent additional incidents. The situation remains fluid, with new information emerging by the hour. In response to the rapidly deteriorating situation, the United Nations has taken the extraordinary step of calling an emergency session. Diplomats from around the world have descended on UN headquarters in New York, determined to find a peaceful resolution to the crisis. The decision to convene such a meeting underscores the gravity of the situation and the potential for far-reaching consequences if the conflict is not contained. Inside the UN, the atmosphere is tense and charged with urgency. Delegates from dozens of countries are engaged in heated debates, with some calling for immediate sanctions and others urging restraint. Behind closed doors, negotiations are underway as diplomats seek to broker a ceasefire and prevent the crisis from spiraling out of control. The stakes could not be higher as the world watches to see whether diplomacy can prevail over the forces of conflict. In Caracas, Venezuelan leaders have taken to the airwaves to condemn the strikes as an act of unjustified aggression. President Nicolas Maduro, flanked by top military officials, delivered a fiery televised address in which he accused foreign powers of violating Venezuela's sovereignty and called for immediate international intervention. The government has vowed to defend its territory and people, while also appealing to allies in the region for support. On the streets of Venezuela, the mood is one of anxiety and uncertainty. Naval personnel have been placed on high alert, with additional patrols deployed to key maritime choke points. Crowds of citizens have gathered outside military bases and government buildings, watching news updates on giant screens and demanding answers from their leaders. The sense of national unity is palpable, but so too is the fear that the crisis could escalate into a wider conflict. Meanwhile, in Washington, the U.S. government has moved quickly to defend its actions. At a State Department briefing, officials insisted that the strikes were aimed at disrupting drug trafficking operations in international waters and were conducted in accordance with the law of armed conflict. They emphasized that the United States remains committed to regional stability and has no interest in provoking a broader confrontation with Venezuela. Despite these assurances, questions continue to swirl about the true motivations behind the strikes. News analysts and commentators have taken to the airwaves to debate the legality and wisdom of the operation, with some arguing that it represents a dangerous escalation, and others insisting that it was a necessary response to ongoing criminal activity. The American public, too, is divided, with many expressing concern about the potential for unintended consequences. Regional experts warn that the incident could have far-reaching implications for the stability of Latin America. Already neighboring countries are on high alert, with some deploying additional forces to their borders, and others calling for emergency consultations with their allies. The risk of a wider conflict is real, and many fear that a single miscalculation could trigger a chain reaction that would be difficult to contain. All eyes are now on the United Nations, where diplomats are working around the clock to draft resolutions and build consensus. The General Assembly is expected to vote on a series of measures aimed at de-escalating the crisis, including calls for an immediate ceasefire, the establishment of an independent investigation, and the imposition of targeted sanctions. The outcome of these deliberations could shape the future of U.S. Venezuela relations for years to come. The question on everyone's mind: could this event mark a turning point in the long and often fraught relationship between the United States and Venezuela? For decades, the two countries have been locked in a cycle of confrontation and mistrust, with periodic flare-ups threatening to destabilize the entire region. Now, as the world watches, there is a sense that the stakes have never been higher. International relations experts are already weighing in, suggesting that the outcome of this crisis could set the tone for future diplomatic strategies. Some argue that the emergency UN meeting presents a unique opportunity for dialogue and reconciliation, while others warn that it could just as easily lead to further polarization and conflict. The coming days will be critical as world leaders grapple with the challenge of balancing national interests with the need for global stability. As night falls over New York, the United Nations remains a hive of activity. World leaders are holding late-night consultations, and the corridors of power are abuzz with speculation about what tomorrow may bring. The rare emergency meeting is just the beginning of what promises to be a high-stakes international drama, with the potential to reshape the geopolitical landscape in ways that few could have predicted. For now, the world waits. Newsrooms everywhere are on high alert, monitoring every development and preparing for the possibility of further escalation. Social media is awash with speculation, rumors, and calls for peace as ordinary people from all walks of life try to make sense of the unfolding crisis. The coming hours and days will be crucial, and we will continue to bring you the latest updates as the story develops. Stay with us for comprehensive coverage of this developing story. Hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to ensure you never miss an update on this and other breaking global news events. As the world holds its breath, we remain committed to bringing you the facts, the context, and the analysis you need to understand this unprecedented moment in international affairs.